Let's address the elephant in the room. Society wants you to believe that motivation after 40 is like trying to squeeze water from a stone. They want you to accept your place in the world, to quietly step aside for younger generations to find contentment in mediocrity and safety in surrender. They've created an entire industry around aging gracefully, which is really just code for fading away quietly. But what if this widely accepted truth is actually the most dangerous lie ever sold to humanity? Have you ever felt that gnawing sensation in your gut when you look in the mirror and wonder where time has gone? That moment when you realize the fire that once burned so bright inside you has dimmed to a flicker. I see those nods. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. That feeling isn't your enemy. That discomfort you're experiencing right now, it's not a sign that you're losing your edge. It's your soul screaming for a revolution. The truth about motivation after 40 isn't what most people think. It's not about desperately trying to recapture your youth or comparing yourself to others. It's about understanding a profound truth that society rarely discusses. Your greatest potential often emerges precisely when you think you're past your prime. You see, we've been fed a dangerous lie. A lie that says life peaks in our 20s and 30s, and then it's all downhill from there. A lie that has convinced countless brilliant minds to dim their light just when they were about to shine their brightest. Right now in this room, there's someone who woke up this morning feeling like they've missed their chance. Someone who looked at their dreams and thought, maybe I'm too old for this. Someone who's starting to accept that mediocrity is their destiny. But here's what fascinates me. The very moment you start believing you're too old to pursue your dreams is often the exact moment you're finally ready to achieve them. Think about it. In your 20s, you had energy but lacked wisdom. You had passion but lacked patience. You had dreams but lacked direction. Now you have something invaluable. You have perspective. You understand what truly matters. You've failed enough times to know that failure isn't fatal. You've lived enough life to recognize genuine opportunities from flashy distractions. The real question isn't whether you're too old to stay motivated. The real question is, how dare you not use everything you've learned so far? How dare you waste decades of accumulated wisdom? Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every moment of doubt, they're not signs of decline. They're badges of honor, marking battles fought, lessons learned, and wisdom earned. Let me share something profound with you. Motivation after 40 isn't about pumping yourself up with temporary excitement. It's about connecting with a deeper truth that you're entering the most powerful phase of your life. Think about a fine wine. Does it apologize for taking years to reach its peak? Does a mighty oak tree feel ashamed that it took decades to reach its full? You're not slowly fading. You're finally becoming who you were meant to be. Those moments of doubt you're feeling, they're not warning signs telling you to slow down. They're wake-up calls urging you to begin. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think motivation is about feeling good all the time. They wait for inspiration to strike like lightning. They're looking for that magical morning when they'll wake up bursting with endless energy and unwavering confidence. That's not how real, lasting motivation works. Real motivation is born in the moments when you feel least motivated but choose to act anyway. It's built in those quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, significance over security. Think about the thoughts that keep you up at night, those dreams you've pushed to the back of your mind, telling yourself maybe someday. What if I told you that the very fact that those dreams won't leave you alone is proof that you're meant to pursue them? Your age isn't your limitation. Your beliefs about your age are. Every single day, people just like you are rewriting the rules about what's possible after 40. They're starting businesses, learning new languages, transforming their health, rebuilding relationships, and creating masterpieces. But here's the crucial difference between those who thrive after 40 and those who merely survive. The thrivers understand that motivation isn't something you find. It's something you create. They know that waiting to feel motivated before taking action is like waiting to feel fit before going to the gym. You want to know the real secret to staying motivated after 40? It's about recognizing that motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're not just moving toward your goals. You're building the emotional momentum that makes the next step easier. The beauty of being where you are right now is that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. That you've earned the right to pursue what truly matters to you. You've lived long enough to know that the opinion of others is far less important than the voice of your own truth. You remember those dreams you had when you were younger? The ones that made your heart race and your spirit soar? They didn't disappear. They've been waiting patiently for you to develop the wisdom, courage, and resilience needed to bring them to life. You see, motivation after 40 isn't about pushing yourself harder. It's about aligning yourself more deeply with your authentic truth. It's about recognizing that every experience you've had, every challenge you've faced, every setback you've endured has been preparing you for this moment. Think about it. What if everything you've experienced so far wasn't meant to tire you out, but to prepare you? What if your greatest achievements aren't in your past, but waiting in your future? What if the best version of you is still emerging? The most dangerous trap we fall into after 40 is comparing our lives to others, especially those younger than us. We scroll through social media, seeing carefully curated highlights of other people's lives, and feel that familiar ache of inadequacy. But let me share a profound truth with you. But comparing yourself to others is like comparing apples to orchestras. It makes absolutely no sense. Your journey is uniquely yours. The challenges you face, the battles you've won and lost, the wisdom you've gathered, they've created a tapestry that's impossible to replicate. The moment you stop trying to be like everyone else is the moment you start becoming who you were always meant to be. You know what's fascinating about motivation after 40? It's no longer driven by the superficial metrics that once consumed us. It's not about the size of your house, the brand of your car, or the number of likes on your social media post. It's about something far more profound, the impact you want to make, the legacy you want to leave, the lives you want to touch. Let's talk about fear for a moment. Not the kind of fear that keeps you safe from physical danger, but the insidious kind that whispers you're too old to start. What will people think, or it's too late to change? This fear isn't protecting you. It's imprisoning you. And the most dangerous prison is the one where the door is wide open, but you've convinced yourself you can't leave. Fear after 40 isn't your enemy. It's your compass. When you feel afraid of pursuing something meaningful, that's not a sign to step back. It's a signal pointing directly toward your next phase of growth. The very things that scare you most are often the exact things you need to pursue. But let's be real for a moment. Staying motivated after 40 isn't just about positive thinking or repeating affirmations in the mirror. It's about creating practical, sustainable systems that support your growth. It's about understanding that motivation isn't a constant state. It's more like a garden that needs daily tending. Think about the habits that have shaped your life so far. Some have served you well while others have held you back. The beautiful thing about being where you are now is that you have the wisdom to know the difference. You've lived long enough to recognize which patterns lift you up and which ones drag you down. Here's a powerful truth. Every single day, you're either building habits that support your dreams or reinforcing habits that bury them. There's no neutral ground. Every choice, every action, every moment of surrender or perseverance is shaping your future self. But here's where it gets interesting. The key to staying motivated isn't about making massive changes overnight. It's about making small, consistent choices that align with who you want to become. It's about understanding that transformation isn't an event. It's a process of daily decisions. Think about water flowing over rock. A single drop doesn't make much difference, but consistent flow, day after day, year after year, can carve through solid stone. Your daily choices, no matter how small they seem, have the same power to reshape your life's landscape. Let's talk about energy. Not just physical energy, but emotional and spiritual energy. After 40, you start realizing that energy isn't infinite, but it is renewable. The key isn't trying to match the frenetic pace of your youth. It's about being more strategic with how you invest your energy. You see, motivation isn't about being on all the time. It's about understanding your natural rhythms and working with them, not against them. It's about recognizing that rest isn't the opposite of progress. It's an essential part of it. The most powerful motivational force isn't willpower. It's wisdom. Have you noticed how your definition of success has evolved over the years? Things that once seemed critically important now feel trivial. Goals that once drove you now feel empty. This isn't a sign of losing your edge. It's a sign of gaining clarity. You're finally starting to understand what truly matters to you. The most powerful motivation comes from aligning your actions with your authentic values. Not the values society handed to you, not the goals your younger self chased, but the deep, genuine truths that resonate with who you are now. Think about the stories you tell yourself. The internal narrative that runs through your mind when you face challenges or contemplate changes. These stories aren't just thoughts. They're the architects of your reality. And here's the extraordinary thing. At this stage in your life, you have the power to consciously choose which stories you believe. The quality of your life isn't determined by your age. It's determined by the questions you ask yourself. Instead of asking, am I too old for this? Ask, how can my experience make this even better? Instead of wondering, what if I fail? Ask, what if this is exactly what I meant to do? Let me share something powerful about the relationship between pain and purpose. Every disappointment you've experienced, every setback that's left its mark, every moment that tested your resilience, they weren't random acts of cruel fate. They were preparation. They were building the strength, wisdom, and character you need for what's coming next. You see, after 40, motivation isn't just about achieving goals. It's about answering a calling. It's about recognizing that your struggles haven't weakened you. They've equipped you. Those challenges that seem like obstacles were actually building blocks, creating the foundation for something greater than you could have imagined in your youth. Think about the mentors and guides you've encountered throughout your life. Some taught you through their wisdom, others through their mistakes. Some showed you what to do, others what not. Every interaction, every relationship, every conflict, they've all contributed to your emotional intelligence, your understanding of human nature, your capacity for empathy and insight. Here's a truth that society rarely acknowledges. Your capacity for impact often peaks when your ego starts to fade. When you stop being consumed by what others think of you, you become free to focus on what you can contribute to others. When you release the need to prove yourself, you create space to improve yourself. But let's talk about something that holds many people back after 40, the fear of starting over. Maybe you're in a career that drains your soul but pays the bills. Maybe you're in relationships that no longer serve your growth. Maybe you build a life that looks successful on the outside but feels empty on the inside. Starting over isn't a step backward. It's a step toward authenticity. Every time you choose growth over comfort, truth over security, purpose over predictability, you're not just changing your circumstances, you're transforming your life's trajectory. Everything you've experienced so far has given you a unique perspective, a distinctive voice, a special kind of wisdom that only you can share. Your struggles haven't disqualified you from making an impact. They've qualified you to help others who are facing similar challenges. The most powerful motivation comes from recognizing that your life isn't just about you. Your journey, your insights, your hard-won wisdom, they're meant to be shared. Every challenge you overcome lights the way for others. Every lesson you learn becomes a teaching tool for those who follow. Let's talk about something that often dims our motivation after 40. The tendency to focus on what we've lost rather than what we've gained. Yes, your body might not recover as quickly as it used to. Yes, your memory might not be as sharp as it once, but what you've gained in exchange is priceless. Discernment, wisdom, perspective, and the ability to see beyond the surface of things. Think about how your definition of strength has evolved. In your youth, strength might have meant pushing through physical limits, working longer hours, proving yourself constantly. Now you understand that true strength often lies in knowing when to rest, when to ask for help, when to change direction, and when to stand your ground. The most sustainable motivation comes from aligning your actions with your values, your work with your purpose, your daily choices with your deepest truths. It's not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about creating a life that naturally energizes you, is a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of trying to stay motivated, focus on staying connected to your purpose, your values, your authentic self. When you're aligned with your truth, motivation becomes less about pushing yourself forward and more about allowing yourself to flow in the direction you're meant to go. Consider the impact of your words, not just on others, but on yourself. The language you use to describe your life becomes the lens through which you experience it. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm too old for this," replace it with, "I'm exactly the right age for this." When you think it's too late, remind yourself it's exactly the right. Let's address something that often gets overlooked: the relationship between motivation and meaning. After 40, you can't sustain motivation through superficial goals or external validation. You need something deeper, something that connects with your soul's purpose, something that makes your heart sing even when the path gets challenging. Think about the legacy you want to leave, not just the material possessions you might pass on, but the impact you want to have, the lives you want to touch, the change you want to create. Your motivation becomes supercharged when you connect your daily actions to this larger purpose. The beauty of where you are now is that you've lived long enough to know what really matters. You've experienced enough to recognize genuine opportunities from distractions. You've failed enough to know that setbacks are temporary. You've succeeded enough to know that achievement alone doesn't bring fulfillment. Let's talk about something that rarely gets discussed: the incredible freedom that comes with emotional maturity after 40. You've lived through enough storms to know that you can weather them. You've faced enough challenges to trust your resilience. This isn't the confidence of youth that thinks it's invincible. This is the quiet strength of experience that knows it can handle whatever comes. Have you noticed how your priorities have shifted? Things that once seemed worth losing sleep over now barely register as concerns. People's opinions that once held you captive now hold less power over you. This isn't apathy. It's clarity. You're finally learning to distinguish between what truly matters and what's merely urgent. Think about how many times you've reinvented yourself already. Each transition, each change, each new beginning has added another layer to who you are. You're not just older, you're richer in experience, deeper in understanding, stronger in character. Every challenge you face has deposited wisdom in your soul's bank account. The most powerful catalyst for motivation isn't outside inspiration. It's internal revelation. It's those moments when you suddenly see yourself clearly, when you recognize your own worth, when you understand that your experiences haven't happened to you, they've happened. Let's address the myth of perfection that often paralyzes people after 40. You might think you need everything perfectly aligned before you can start something new. But here's the liberating truth. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress, your imperfections, your scars, your lived experiences, they don't disqualify you from achievement. They give you character depth. Consider how many times you've thought, "I wish I had started this sooner." Now flip that thought around and ask yourself, what would your future self wish you had started today? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years. The second best time is now. This isn't just a clever saying, it's a profound truth about how to approach life after 40. The most sustainable motivation comes from understanding that growth isn't linear. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, others you'll question everything. This isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's proof that you're alive, that you're pushing your boundaries, that you're still evolving. Think about the stories you tell yourself about aging. Are they stories of decline and limitation, or stories of growth and possibility? Your narrative becomes your reality. When you change the story, you change the trajectory of your life. Here's something profound about motivation after 40. It's less about pushing yourself harder and more about removing the barriers that hold you back. It's about unlearning limiting beliefs, releasing outdated patterns, and letting go of who you think you should be to become who you truly are. Let's talk about the power of selective focus. Your energy is precious, and what you focus on expands. When you focus on what's wrong with being over 40, you'll find plenty of evidence to support that view. But when you focus on the advantages of your age, on the wisdom you've gained, on the impact you can make, that's when magic happens. Consider the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation pushes you forward. Inspiration pulls you forward. After 40, you need both. You need the discipline to keep going when things get tough, but you also need that deep connection to purpose that makes the journey meaningful. The most powerful form of motivation isn't based on comparison with others. It's based on competition with yourself. Not in a harsh, punishing way, but in the spirit of continuous growth. Each day presents an opportunity to be slightly better than you were yesterday, not better than someone else. Think about the role models who inspire you. Notice how many of them achieved their greatest success after 40. They didn't succeed despite their age, they succeeded because of it. They had the wisdom to see opportunities others missed, the patience to build something sustainable, the resilience to weather setbacks. Let's address something that often dims our fire, the fear of judgment. After 40, this fear can be particularly paralyzing because we think we should know better or have it all figured out. But here's the liberating truth. The only opinion about your life that truly matters is your own. Consider how many times you've surprised yourself. Times when you thought you couldn't handle something, but you did. Times when you thought you were too old, too tired, too late, but you proved yourself wrong. Each of these moments is evidence of your capacity for growth and achievement. The most sustainable motivation comes from aligning your actions with your values, your work with your purpose, your daily choices with your deepest truths. When what you do matches who you are, motivation becomes less about force and more about flow. Let me share something transformative about the relationship between gratitude and motivation. When you're grateful for where you are, while remaining excited about where you're going, you enter a powerful state of being. You're no longer driven by dissatisfaction or fear, but by appreciation and possibility. Think about the dreams you had when you were younger. Some you've achieved, some you've outgrown, and some still whisper to your heart. Those persistent whispers, they're not random thoughts. They're your soul's GPS, guiding you toward your next evolution. The most profound motivation comes from understanding that you're not just living your life, you're creating a legacy. Every choice you make, every person you impact, every challenge you overcome becomes part of the story you're leaving behind. Your life isn't just about you, it's about everyone you touch along the way. Consider how many times you've helped others navigate challenges you've already faced. Your struggles haven't just made you stronger. They've made you wiser, more compassionate, more equipped to guide others. This is the hidden gift of life after 40. Your challenges become your teachings. Let's talk about something vital. The relationship between physical vitality and emotional motivation. Your body isn't just a vehicle for your dreams, it's an essential part of them. Taking care of your physical health isn't vanity. It's about having the energy and strength to pursue what matters most to you. The most sustainable motivation comes from creating daily rituals that nurture your soul. Small, consistent actions that remind you of who you are and what matters most. It's not about massive transformations. It's about meaningful moments that accumulate into lasting change. Think about the power of your choices. Each decision you make today is creating your tomorrow. You're not just choosing what to do, you're choosing who to become. Every time you choose courage over comfort, growth over safety, purpose over pleasure, you're sculpting your future self. Let's address something that often holds people back after 40, the fear of looking foolish. But here's the truth. The only foolish choice is letting fear stop you from living fully. The real risk isn't in trying and failing. It's in never trying at all. Consider the concept of time differently. Yes, you might have fewer years ahead than behind, but you have more wisdom, more resources, more clarity about what matters. It's not about how much time you have. It's about what you do with the time you have. The most powerful motivation comes from living in alignment with your authentic self, not the self that society expects you to be, not the self your past defined you as, but the self that you know in your quiet moments of truth you're meant to become. Think about the power of your presence when you fully show up in your life, when you bring your whole self to each moment. You not only transform your own experience, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. Your growth becomes a catalyst for others. Let's talk about the relationship between purpose and perseverance. When you're connected to why you're doing something, the how becomes easier to figure out. Your purpose becomes your North Star, guiding you through doubts and difficulties. The beauty of motivation after 40 is that it comes from a deeper place. It's no longer about proving yourself to others. It's about expressing yourself fully. It's not about achieving to gain worth. Every moment of doubt, every fear that whispers you're too old, every setback that tests your resolve, these aren't obstacles to your purpose. They're invitations to prove how badly you want it, how deeply you believe in it, how committed you are to bringing it to life. Your age isn't your limitation. It's your qualification. Your experiences aren't your burden. They're your toolkit. Your past isn't your destiny. It's your foundation. Every moment that brought you here was preparing you for what's next. What would you do if you truly believed that your best years are ahead of you? What would you attempt if you knew your age was your advantage, not your obstacle? What dreams would you pursue if you trusted that every experience you've had has prepared you for this moment? The question isn't whether you're too old to stay motivated after 40. The question is whether you're ready to use everything you've learned, everything you've become, everything you are, to create something extraordinary. Your time is now. Not because you're running out of it, but because you're finally ready to use it wisely. You've earned this moment. You've prepared for this moment. Now it's time to live it. The world needs what only you can give. Your wisdom, your perspective, your unique way of seeing and being in the world. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for someone else to validate your dreams. This is your moment. And the best part of your story is about to begin.